Hi, I'm Diane and welcome to DMD Digest. Welcome to the second part of the probiotic series that we were doing. The first part was just kind of an introduction to probiotics, prebiotics, what are they for? Could you possibly be a candidate to need something like this? And I just kind of reviewed different things, different lifestyles that might make you a candidate for the use of probiotics. Another thing we talked about is looking at how do you differentiate between what's a good one and what's not a good one. This webcast is going to focus a little bit more on how do you choose which supplement seems to be better. And again, I've done a lot of research, but I don't have all the answers. A lot of this is based on my research as well as my own experimentation and things that have worked, things that have not worked, and trying to help you so that you don't waste your money and spend a lot of time on something worthless. So with that, I'm also going to talk about a couple of different strains, probiotic types that are specific for irritable bowel disorder, not only constipation, but also diarrhea. And for women, the vaginal type of complications that we often get from antibiotics and just kind of in general. So with that being said, how many of you have logged on to your social media account or received an email that says, oh, use this new probiotic or use this new method and it will eliminate your stomach problems and your indigestion, or if you use this product, you'll be able to stop dropping fat like crazy, or it will boost your memory, or improve your skin condition, or improve your sex drive, or a multitude of things. Take this product and you'll immediately start to lose weight and feel wonderful, and you'll have no more aching joints and you'll be able to concentrate better and everything's going to be just bliss. So I have personally been inundated with those types of emails and things, and I feel like I've watched about every single video and read about every single email that's come across my way. And the bottom line is they're all confusing. And if I were to actually purchase every single product that is sent to me via the social media, I would be a very poor woman. So what do you do so that you know what you're taking, what you're purchasing, and it isn't just something that is going to do nothing for you, but pad that individual's wallet quite heftily. To be honest, a lot of the probiotics out there are completely worthless. And I unfortunately know of some of that information because I've tried a lot of them and nothing has improved. I did not have clearer skin. I wasn't smarter. My irritable bowel issues did not magically go away. I didn't have anything that they all claim to have. So I became quite skeptical. And there are some reasons for that. One of them is because most of the probiotics out there are hugely underregulated. And that's because there isn't really any type of FDA format that they go through. Probiotics and prebiotics are considered either a food or a supplement, or a nutritional additive, something of that nature. They're not medication, so therefore they don't go through all of the regular lengthy research studies that the FDA pursues with an actual medication. So that creates an issue. Because of that, you don't really know what to trust, what's going to help, what isn't going to help. Label claims can be completely inaccurate. As I stated with social media things, it's going to say that it's doing all these wonderful things. But what is it actually doing? Likely nothing. And if you buy it at your local grocery store, pharmacy, drugstore, your wholesale marketplace, you're probably taking it and you're getting rid of it the next day you go to the bathroom, doing nothing. So there are some things that actually have to happen, and we're going to go through those specifically. What needs to happen in your probiotic to give it a more effective, more sustainable environment so that it's actually helpful for you. So some of the things to look for, I talked about in the first video on probiotics, that you really want to make sure that your supplement has prebiotics either listed in it, or if you want, you can eat some of the prebiotics. Some of the things that are suggested are kombucha, yogurt, specifically like a kefir, a type of fermented yogurt. We talked a lot about reading your yogurt labels and making sure that it's not loaded in sugar and that there is nothing active in it. You want to make sure that does not happen. Looking at chicory root, that's a very, very common prebiotic that is used in the formulation of probiotics. Dandelion root, probably not too many of you eat the dandelions that grow in your yard in the summer, but they actually do make pretty effective dandelion root herbal teas, so that is an option. They don't taste too bad. It doesn't really taste like you're picking weeds out of your grass in the backyard and drinking them. You might need to use a little imagery there to swallow if you're struggling there. Asparagus, Jerusalem artichokes, those are all more natural food-sourced prebiotics that you can add. And then looking at using fermented vegetables, we talked a little bit about that too. That's probably your best source if you can consume your probiotic in a fermented vegetable, and that would be sources like sauerkraut, kimchi, any type of vegetable that you can ferment yourself. We talked about how to do that with like a mason jar, cover it with water, put some salt in there, you cover it, you let it sit. The longer you sit, the longer it ferments, and the softer it becomes. If you have a lot of digestive issues to begin with, irritable bowel, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, any of those type things, make sure that it's much more digestible, it's softer, and you've let it sit for a bit so it doesn't cause as much difficulty trying to digest it. So let's look at some things that you would want to look for in your probiotic to begin with. There's some different things. Probiotics are going to have, the ones that you're looking for are going to have primarily Lactobacillus acidophilus. That is critically important. That's one of the most common strains in probiotics, but it's also one that you're going to see referenced most. It generally is at the top of the bottle. You want to make sure that it has substrains listed, and they're actually listed out on the label of the bottle. If your bottle doesn't list substrains, the manufacturer probably didn't want to go to the trouble to put them on, and therefore they may not exist. So there may not be any substrains in there. Lactobacillus is a yeast type derivative with your bacteria. We're looking at the acidophilus. Acidophilus is naturally found in your mouth, in your intestine, in your vaginal flora. So those are things that promote the bacteria to grow. There's different things. There's Lactobacillus longum and bifidum, brevi. There's multitudes of different strains and things of that nature. And I'm not going to get into every single one of them because it's overwhelming. But just look to make sure that you have a good list. Another thing too is looking at what type of strain would be best suited for indigestion, for all of your gastrointestinal problems, which is kind of how I got on this probiotic, this interest, was just trying to treat some of my own issues. So the Lactobacillus acidophilus is a really important one. Also bifidum, and there are some other things that are also super important as well. Ideally, you want to make sure that there is bifidobacterium as well. And once again, there's different strains of that. There is some research looking at, I kind of came across this, and initially I thought this was awesome and a wonderful way to be able to test different probiotics that you would purchase wherever, wholesale, at a local store, at a health food store. It's called a milk test. And it sounds really, really good and effective, but the more reading I did, the more error I found in the studies. And it proposes that you open up the capsule, you pour it in like 4 ounces of milk, and you let it sit there for 24, 48 hours. And if the milk curdles, then it's ineffective. It has a live strain of bacteria. However, a lot of you know that if you sit milk out and it becomes room temperature for any period of time, it's probably going to thicken and it may have some curdling. It also would depend on what temperature is the room and how much humidity was in the air and other issues like that. So the more research I did on this, the less accurate I found the milk test to be. Let's move on briefly to the use of probiotics for women's vaginal yeast infections. I know this is just an exciting topic to talk about, but if you've ever had one, this is a really exciting topic to talk about. There are some different bacteria that you want to make sure your probiotic has if you're trying to treat an antibiotic-related bacterial yeast infection. For one, once again, try to make sure that the strain is viable. You want to look at a product that has, it's called Lactobacillus rhamnosus. I know that is a mouthful, and I probably should have spelled this out to you. Another one would be Lactobacillus reuteri. Sometimes people pronounce it reuteri. And Bacillus subtilis. Those are bacterial strains that tend to have a more affinity for your vaginal, it's called mucosa. It's the lining of the vaginal canal. And these bacteria kind of tend to target that a little bit more effectively. I know that a lot of healthcare professionals will suggest using yogurt. Not literally applying the yogurt, but consuming the yogurt. And there is a yogurt out there, and it's advertised on TV. It's called Yakult, as in Yakult. And I've looked into that, and that actually is the only one that I had found that does report that it has live bacteria in it. The problem that happens is even with any product, not only that yogurt, but probiotics in general, is what's live in the yogurt or in the bottle is likely not going to be live by the time it hits your intestine and definitely your vaginal lining. Because of all the acids in our stomach, what tends to happen is the probiotic gets kind of neutralized in your stomach. So by the time it gets to your intestines, it's not even active. When it gets any farther than your intestines, you got nothing. So that would be a bad thing. Another thing is for probiotics to be effective, they need something to seed it, is kind of the term, meaning a prebiotic. It also needs to be something that is going to be able to sustain the acidity in your stomach. Preferably, your probiotic would need to have some type of coating. It's called an enteric coating. Some of you might take medication that kind of has a shiny, thick layer on it, and your pharmacist or healthcare professional will tell you, don't crush it, don't break it, don't smash it, or anything to it. And it's because of that enteric coating that makes it bypass your stomach and go into your intestine, so it only dissolves in your intestine. That's what you want. That's where the bugs are, if you will, that we're trying to help grow. So that's really important. So one, that it can sustain your stomach acid. It has some kind of coating or something that says that it's not going to degrade or break down until it hits your intestine. Something that is live. Something ideally that doesn't need refrigeration. It's a lot more difficult to be able to make sure that wherever you are, whatever time of day you want to take this, it doesn't have to be refrigerated as well. It's not real practical to carry around a cooler or something to carry your probiotic in to make sure it's not going to degrade before you take it. So most of the probiotics out on the market are, stating that they don't need to be refrigerated. So that's something important that you want to look for. What should you look for in a probiotic? I've talked about some things. I'm just going to kind of condense and do an overview for you. For one, ideally they need to be formulated by a doctor. Preferably someone who's trained in gastroenterology, which is the study of your entire intestinal system. Ideally, it needs to have a high CFU count. I talked about in the first webcast what a CFU is. It's a colony forming unit. It's kind of a way to measure, like medication is generally in milligrams, so it's a way to measure the probiotic colony itself. So you want it to ideally to have a minimum of 40 billion CFU. You also want it to ideally have a prebiotic with it. I mentioned one common one that you see is something called Nutraflora, which can be used as well. You want to make sure it lists its substrains. Kind of the more substrains, the better. Some of them have 11. 11 is a pretty significant amount, so that would be good. We talked about not requiring refrigeration, that it's going to bypass your stomach and actually stay in your intestine. So there's a few products that I've researched a little more heavily, things that have interested me, some things that I've tried that meet some of these criteria. And I'm going to just give you a few of them. I'm going to kind of read off a list here to make sure I don't mess up the pronunciation or anything of that nature. And as I said, this is all kind of based on some of the research I've done and looking through different articles. One of them is called 1, as in the number, MD. as in physician. So 1 MD. And that kind of got like a top of the line, A plus, if you will, overall rating. Looking at safety, a lot of these products were all made in the USA, which the reason that seems to be a little bit more important is because the United States does seem to have higher standards for their supplements, whether it be probiotic or vitamin, mineral, herbal. So that's an important characteristic as well. A lot of these are research, so they are showing their projected effectiveness. Looking at customer satisfaction is one important thing. If any of you use like Amazon to purchase things, Amazon is an amazing opportunity, an amazing way to purchase some things. But always be cautious with any customer reviews, things that you're reading, reviews by individuals. Some of these companies will pay people to endorse their product. So you don't really know. Is it legitimate and sincere, or are they being paid to say, oh my gosh, this is the best product ever and it healed everything and I'm just a completely different person. So be wary of that. Looking at the return policy, I thought that was kind of important because so many of these things, especially things that I have videos that I've watched or emails that I've read, or, click this link and be directed to whatever, this top nutritionist or physician or whomever, touting the next best product. Check to make sure that they've got a lengthy return policy if you don't like it. Ideally, it should be 365 days. You should be able to return that product at any point and get your money back. So a lot of the things out there, a lot of the products that I've looked at are, 30-day refund, like product guarantee, 60 days. The ones that are like, oh my gosh, you have to buy it right now because, if we're running out of stock and if you don't get it now, I can't give you this special discounted offer. No, that doesn't sound legitimate to me, and it sounds like you're in it for the money and you're really not in it for my personal health. So I stay clear of any of those types of products. Looking at once again, if it is 100% vegan, if it's GMO certified, if it has any potential allergens. Some people are extremely sensitive, so you need to make sure it doesn't have soy or wheat or made in a plant that also produces any type of tree nut product. Some people want to make sure that it is has no synthetic fillers, binders. It could be looking at, is it made with any type of gel or anything of that nature. Just look at what's it made with. How do they make their capsule? And then once again, making sure that each substrain is listed and you can see what it is. Sometimes the better made, more effective probiotics are more costly. I'm always cognizant of price. Just because it costs a whole lot more to me does not necessarily mean that it's the best product. So always do your research. Some of the products may be a lot more expensive because maybe some of the extra studies they did cost a lot more money, or maybe their lab is certified, or maybe they grow their own herb or bacteria or something in a sustainable lab environment. Who knows? Sometimes a downside is the more popular the product, you might have to wait to get it. They might need to manufacture more. That may not be a bad thing. If you're getting an excellent product, wait. Another product that has scored very well is from Live Well Nutrition. It's called Pro 45. That also ranks up pretty high as far as ingredient safety, projected effectiveness, customer satisfaction, the value, the return policy, all of those things that I had stated. Once again, it has the 11 substrains. It has 45 billion CFUs. That one is not necessarily endorsed by a physician, but do your research. Does not seem to have any unhealthy fillers or additives. Another one that gets a pretty good rating is called Ultimate Flora. That is also, it's dairy, gluten-free, other vegetable capsules, 50 billion CFUs. Another product is called Culturelle Digestive. It's a health probiotic capsule. Culturelle I have seen in some local stores. So once again, you can't completely dismiss everything that's out there. Do your research and read your labels so that you know. There is one called Prebiotics. There is a product, VSL 45, I believe, that is also pretty good. Those are some products that I'm more familiar with that actually seem to be effective and doing what they say they're going to do. So on that note, once again, be aware, read your labels, look at what am I trying to treat. If you can actually eat the foods containing fermented strains, excellent. Better yet, always better to be able to eat it than have to take it in a supplement version. But if you can't, for multiple reasons, or you just don't like sauerkraut and kimchi and things like that, which no one in my family likes. I'm the only weird one. So use a supplement, but be educated. Don't waste your money. Be aware of scams. Don't go for what is cheap and inexpensive, or gosh, the advertising company did such a great job. This is such a cute label. This should work really well. Or gummies. Oh, my kids will love them. That's great. Probably not. By the time you chew it and swallow, pretty much gone, pretty much wasting your money. So, with that being said, I'm going to let you go. This kind of concludes the probiotic, prebiotic information. And next time we meet, I'll be talking about something else that I hope you can learn from. And it is really important for you and it helps you. Thank you so much.